It started with an idea. An idea so transformative that its impact is still on the rise 150 years later. It's the idea that the path to a brighter future is created by the potential inside each one of us. That idea is the land-grant mission. With the founding of the Ohio Agricultural and Mechanical College in 1870, that idea became reality in Ohio. We belong to the Cornerstone College, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, which originally gave our institution part of its name and has been a critical force in shaping our comprehensive university. From there, our land-grant idea grew. Decade after decade, generation after generation. With each passing year, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences has been building on these principles and advancing knowledge, advancing science and innovation, advancing industry, and most of all, advancing people. We face a different world than the one our founders faced 150 years ago. A world filled with complex issues. The land-grant idea that guided us in the past is still the cornerstone in meeting the challenges we face tomorrow. But we need more. We need faculty ready to train and equip future generations of thought leaders. We need scientists collaborating to inspire solutions they could not achieve on their own. We need educators who take research-based solutions to the people who put them into action. We need partners ready to join us as co-creators of innovative new systems and solutions. We need you. Join us and make it possible for us to nurture and inspire generations of scientists and leaders. Join us in the deeply held belief that the future will be better, most directly as a result of our investment in the next generation. Join us as we continue the idea that the path to a brighter future is created by the potential inside each one of us. Today, we celebrate 150 years of significant accomplishment, and we look forward to even greater opportunity ahead. Guided by our defining purpose, we sustain life.
Good afternoon. I'm Cathann Cress, Vice President of Agricultural Administration and Dean of the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. Welcome to our Land-Grant Cornerstone Conversation, held in conjunction with our 58th Annual Farm Science Review. Although the show is virtual this year, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather with all of you today. As you saw in the opening video, our college builds on 150 years of know-how and expertise in helping Ohioans. We continue to tackle emerging issues like we did this summer with the disruptions to our food supply chain. And we anticipate the future, such as our work on embedded technology and the promise of precision agriculture. We are poised to expand our research and education to fully embrace our role as a modern land grant. And we have demonstrated the flexibility and adaptability needed to get us there. Extension and opportunities like the Farm Science Review are our boots on the ground and our ear to Ohioans. During this pandemic, we have connected and delivered education and engaged our citizens in our science. We like being in and among, allowing us deep partnerships which drives our ability to deliver on our mission and engage key decision makers in real time with real information. As the Cornerstone College of The Ohio State University, our college connects people across the university, the state, and the world to solve our grand challenges of sustainability, One Health, the rural-urban interface, and preparing our future workforce. The ability of our comprehensive land-grant university, with our depth and breadth across multiple complex systems, both internally, such as our microbiome and metabolomics, to the large local and global systems, such as food supply chains and economics, are critical to finding solutions, and our college sits at the foundation of much of this work. It will be the integration of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary approaches that will lead to the greatest innovations, the most powerful solutions, sustainable models, revolutionary cures. Not just for medicine and within food and agriculture or natural resources, but also from information technology, data science, social sciences, engineering, and public policy. CFAES is positioned well to lead this university-wide integration. With our mission areas of teaching, research, and extension, our college is uniquely positioned to lead nationally and globally. Our comprehensiveness and our commitment to engage across disciplines creates the conditions for the next land-grant revolution. But we can't do it alone. We need the continued support of our stakeholders, partners, and federal, state, and local governments, many of which are joining us online here today to help us fulfill our mission. We sustain life. I am pleased to introduce Dr. Christina M Johnson, our 16th president of The Ohio State University. We welcomed her for a visit to Waterman during her first week as president, where she met with faculty, students, and took a tour. Most recently, she was chancellor of the State University System of New York, which includes 64 public colleges and universities, 5 academic health centers, and 3 hospital systems, and held numerous leadership and academic roles at universities across the nation. Dr. Johnson brings to the Buckeye State more than 30 years of experience and leadership in the academic, business, and public policy sectors. She founded and led several successful science and technology companies, served as Undersecretary of Energy at the U.S. Department of Energy. So like us, she advances industry. President Johnson has published nearly 150 papers and proceedings and holds more than 100 patents. Her pioneering work in microdisplays and color polarizing technology earned her recognition from the National Inventors Hall of Fame, as well as the John Fritz Medal, among the most prestigious honors in engineering, whose past awardees include George Westinghouse, Thomas Edison, and Orville Wright. The recipient of numerous other awards and recognitions, Dr. Johnson is also a member or fellow of several professional societies, including the National Academy of Engineering, the National Academy of Inventors, and the American Association for the Advancement of Science. So like CFAES, she advances science. Throughout her career in higher education, she has consistently worked to build student success and partnerships with industries and communities, and create inclusive opportunities for those traditionally underrepresented among the ranks of university students, faculty, and staff. So most importantly, like our college, she advances people. I am confident our president shares our common purpose, not just of our college, but for all of us engaged in food, agricultural, and environmental enterprises. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Christina M Johnson.
Thank you, Dean Kress. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you today as we celebrate the incredible impact and influence of Ohio's agricultural industry. Despite this unprecedented moment in the history of our nation, Buckeyes continue to demonstrate unwavering grit, resiliency, and courage. All of us have been tested in ways that are daunting and unique, and we are facing these challenges head-on and moving toward a future that is brighter and more hopeful for everyone. I take great pride in knowing that The Ohio State University, where my family has deep roots, is committed to keeping the American dream alive for people from all backgrounds through excellent public higher education. We unite government, industry, and academia in a collective effort to solve the critical and practical problems of our time, and those just starting to emerge on the horizon. From the COVID-19 pandemic to agricultural innovation, water quality, and the general health and welfare of our fellow citizens, we are forging connections, unlocking new knowledge and discoveries, and educating the next generation of leaders to propel all of us towards progress and prosperity. This is Ohio State's land-grant mission in action, and we see it here today, a commitment to others that holds firm through time and change. Our university's promise and potential to do good and uplift others would not be possible without the enduring support of our elected officials. To Governor DeWine, members of the General Assembly, and our friends at all levels of government, thank you for empowering Buckeyes to make the world a better place. I am also grateful to our students, faculty and staff, and partners on our campuses and beyond who bring hope to the communities we serve. One example is the Ohio State University Extension, which for the past century has had an active and dedicated presence in each of Ohio's 88 counties, working on the ground to detect challenges, generate solutions, and implement them at scale. The same spirit of curiosity, collaboration, and community was on full display a few weeks ago when I visited our university's Waterman Agricultural and Natural Resources Laboratory in Columbus. I saw firsthand the power of energetic and purposeful minds working across disciplines to shed new light on advances that will alleviate some of the most pressing issues facing society today. Our College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences is transforming lives through education, research, and innovation. I am so thankful for Dean Kress and her entire team who work day in and day out to ensure that Ohio State's land-grant mission remains as powerful today as it did 150 years ago. And thank you for organizing the annual Farm Science Review program. Although we're not able to gather in person, I look forward to the day when we will be able to do so again, singing Carmen, Ohio in the same room, arm in arm. Until then, take care of yourselves, your families and loved ones, your friends and neighbors, and continue to find new ways to help each other. By working together as Buckeyes, we will emerge even stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, President Johnson, for your inspiring words. We were honored to have you visit Waterman and look forward to your leadership and solving future critical and practical problems together as Buckeyes. As I said earlier, our work cannot be done without partnerships. Partnerships within the college and across the university. Partnerships with farmers, communities, industry, and stakeholders, and partnerships with our federal, state, and local governments. Today, several of our elected officials are able to join in our conversation, and we want to thank them for joining us.
Hi, this is Congressman Balderson. I'm honored to welcome all of you as attendees to this year's Land-Grant Cornerstone Conversation and Farm Science Review. As you all know, in its nearly 60-year history, this will be the Ohio State's first ever virtual Farm Science Review. Thank you all so much for attending today's virtual discussion and for participating in conversation that will steer the future of Ohio's agricultural sector. Typically, the annual Farm Science Review offers participants the opportunity to make connections and build partnerships. Although you may not be participating in person this year, I hope you can find and foster those connections that are so centric to our agricultural community. As you know, The Ohio State University is a proud land-grant university. This designation offers an innovative way of supporting our country through economic growth in key fields of agricultural, science, and engineering. It also provides residents of our local communities from all social classes a chance to better their station in life through higher education. OSU's land-grant status and agricultural focus have helped create a food system in the United States where less than 2% of the population is able to feed the other 98%, in addition to large numbers of people around the world. We are Buckeyes, and we are proud. OH. As participants in today's Farm Science Review, you represent the next class of environmental leaders, agricultural producers, and food scientists. I'm truly honored to welcome you today. As you may know, agriculture is in my blood. I grew up on my family's farm where I helped grow corn and soybeans and raise cattle. I was a proud participant in 4-H and remain a strong supporter of this program to this day. Because of my long history with agriculture and farming, it was my honor to recently be appointed to the House Committee on Agriculture. It's critical that Ohio's agricultural community is as represented as possible on this key committee, which is why I'm proud to be the only Ohio Republican to sit on it. As you're well aware of, this community faces critical issues, including a steady decline in farmers. Each day, our nation has fewer farmers, meaning every existing farmer is being asked to produce more with limited resources. The funding we're featuring during this Farm Science Review will have a big impact on tomorrow's farmers. You'll be evaluating how these technologies are going to help the community in the near and distant futures. I'm looking forward to this exhibition. We cannot ignore the fact that the ongoing pandemic has shined a light on the needs of this community and the impact it has had on the whole nation. I've been actively focused on the priorities of this community since the pandemic hit the United States, helping establish the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. I've continued my support with my recent committee appointment, introducing legislation that would ensure rural farmers receive much-needed relief. I'm proud to support Ohio's agricultural and farming community, and I hope you will use me as a resource. My office is always here to support you with any of your needs. Ohio's agricultural community is strong, resilient, and proud. Once again, thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next year at the annual Farm Science Review.
Hi, this is U.S. Senator Rob Portman. I'm pleased to welcome all of this year's attendees to the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences Farm Science Review. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy with their loved ones during this coronavirus pandemic. I'm told this is the first ever virtual Farm Science Review in its more than 60 years of history. While I'm sorry this great event couldn't happen in person, I'm sure glad to see it's continuing even in these challenging times. This event brings together more than 100,000 agriculture producers, companies, students from across the country to showcase the latest technology and innovation in agricultural production and provide educational resources on a wide range of topics, including conservation, livestock health, and STEM education for youth. But this event is also valuable in forming partnerships and connections across our farming industries and institutions to identify challenges and identify ways to strengthen agriculture in Ohio. Agriculture is Ohio's top industry, contributing more than $100 billion to our economy and putting food on the table, not only for millions of Ohioans, but for people all around the world. In my time in Congress, I've been proud to fight on behalf of Ohio farmers, who every year produce some of the best soybeans, corn, dairy, and poultry around. I'm also a farm owner, and this year our soybeans are doing pretty well. Most recently, I've supported the coronavirus relief legislation that has provided USDA with billions of dollars in funding to go directly to farmers that are negatively impacted by the coronavirus. I was also proud to support the 2018 Farm Bill because it gave farmers the certainty and predictability they deserve while promoting economic development and job creation in our rural communities. The Farm Bill also provided additional resources for conservation programs so that we can continue to protect and improve the water quality in Ohio, including the water quality of the Great Lakes and other water bodies across the country, as well as promoting access to broadband and funding our land-grant institutions. I also fought on behalf of Ohio farmers in the negotiation for a new USMCA trade agreement, which replaced NAFTA and vastly expanded opportunities for agricultural trade with Canada and Mexico, two of Ohio's biggest trading partners. We're also doing better with regard to getting more of our agricultural product in Ohio into China, which is really important for our pricing. I want to thank you all for your commitment to leading the next generation of agricultural producers here in Ohio and across the United States. I'll continue to work in Washington on your behalf as you work to feed our state, our country, and the world. Thanks for attending this great event. We look forward to seeing you next year at the Farm Science Review. Godspeed.
Hi, I'm Sheriff Brown. It's an honor to serve you in the United States Senate. Welcome to the first annual Land-Grant Cornerstone Conversation and virtual, unfortunately this year, virtual Farm Science Review. I thank you to Ohio State's College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences. Thanks, Dean Kress, for organizing this year's events. Thank you to all of this year's participants. For some 60 years, the Farm Science Review has been showcasing Ohio agriculture and the future of agriculture, displaying thousands of product lines from hundreds of commercial exhibitors, highlighting the innovative farming practices that increase sustainability and help farmers' bottom lines. Ohio State's roots are in agriculture and teaching. We know that from its founding exactly 150 years ago. As we celebrate this sesquicentennial, the university continues to be one of the finest universities and land-grant institutions, not just in the Midwest, but really in the whole world. Just in July, Ohio State's very own Dr. Ratan Lal was awarded this year's World Food Prize for his work to reduce global hunger and promote sustainability. Dr. Lal leads the field in showing how farmers and improved soil health can help solve global insecurity, food insecurity, and fight climate change, one of the great moral issues of our times. We know in Ohio how important agriculture is. It's our state's largest industry. We know how innovative we are in Ohio. That's why the Farm Science Review is so important. Every year, Farm Science Review brings together farmers and other producers and manufacturers and researchers and scientists to discuss the challenges and newest innovations in farming. We all benefit from that. These partnerships shape the landscape of agriculture across the country as Ohio helps to lead the way. As the first Ohioan on the Agriculture Committee in half a century, I know the importance of agriculture. I grew up working, I don't claim to be a farmer, but I grew up working for years on a family dairy farm. I see the challenges that agriculture faces, particularly with climate change, particularly with the pressures in today's society and low farm prices and the threats, especially to dairy farmers. I will continue to fight alongside all of you. I will continue to fight for rural communities and farms across our nation. Thanks for attending, and I look forward to actually seeing you at one of the in-person, perhaps next year's Farm Science Review. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you to all of you for your commitment to the betterment of the university, our college, and Ohio, and for your support of the food, agricultural, and environmental industries. I am now pleased to welcome Governor Mike DeWine, who has joined me virtually today. I'm talking to you today from our CFAES Worcester campus, where right behind me here, we have our new science building that is prepared to open in just a couple of months and wouldn't be possible without the partnership of all of you. So thank you all for making this possible for our faculty, staff, and students. I'm now really pleased to welcome Governor Mike DeWine, who's joining me virtually today. Welcome, Governor. It's great to have you here with us. Governor Mike DeWine, as everyone knows, has spent his career working hard for the people of Ohio. He served as the Greene County Prosecuting Attorney, a state senator, U.S. Congressman, Lieutenant Governor, U.S. Senator, and State Attorney General before assuming the office of Ohio's 70th governor in January 2019. Governor DeWine, we're all quite familiar with your agricultural background and the way that you support agricultural education, agribusiness, and the interests of Ohio's farmers. You've also been a regular visitor to the Farm Science Review, and we're glad that this year, even with us doing it virtually, you're able to be here with us. I want to start out today by thanking you for your commitment to Ohio agriculture. A lot of our alumni and students and everyone know that when the stay-at-home order was declared, you recognized the important need for the continuation of our research. And so with the exemptions for the activities associated with the support of agriculture, the food supply chain, and the associated natural resource base, we were able to gain approval from the university to continue our mission critical research and extension activities focused on maintaining the food supply chain and the protection of critical natural resources such as our water. That research was vitally important as we saw our food supply chain under stress as COVID-19 entered our processing plants. And I'm really pleased at how quickly our faculty and our staff pivoted to be helpful to our processors and our producers during that time. So your support and participation in Farm Science Review goes back many years, and we're grateful for your interest. Many of our friends here are aware of the DeWine family seed business, and I'm guessing that undoubtedly you've seen really big changes in agriculture over the years. And I wondered if you might want to start with just some reflections to share with our audience about some of those changes.
Well, I suppose one of the big changes is just the yields. DeWine seeds, when it was wheat harvest, one of my jobs, actually before wheat harvest, was to go rogue what we call rogue the wheat fields. We had about 2,000 acres that we had contracted with farmers. And my job in all the month of June, I'd get some of my high school buddies and we'd go out and walk through the fields and pull out any off varieties or anything that we saw. If there's a rye growing or something that we thought, should not be in there, but you couldn't screen it out. Dad and grandfather had me go out and pull that out. So that was, we always had a good June doing that. But, when harvest came, I just take wheat, for example, if somebody was getting 45 bushels to an acre, they're pretty good. And if they hit 50, man, you really talked about it. So I think the yields are very, very different. Of course, the inputs, I know from looking at some of the bills that we get on our farms, the inputs are pretty expensive today too. So there's a lot of different changes, but you were talking about the Farm Science Review. And of course we enjoy that every single year. And, but I'm thinking back to maybe my first Farm Science Review. For many years, our seed company used to have a display at the Ohio State Fair. And then when the Farm Science Review really got going, we switched over there. So, I remember going to the Farm Science Review many, many years ago in some of its early days when we were setting up, displays for DeWine seeds there, and having the opportunity to see farmers come in. So it certainly has evolved and got a lot bigger over the years too.
Yeah, well, and that is one of the things that I think we all miss right now. While it's important for us to be safe, we all miss seeing the people and having those opportunities together. And we're looking forward to that again. When you were talking about roguing, and I didn't have the experience of roguing, but my summers in Iowa were spent detasseling corn. So I can relate to some of what you're talking about there.
So that just took more talent. Mine
I don't know if it took more talent.
All I'd have to do is kind of look down and see what was standing. It looked different, find a bearded wheat or something and take it out. So,
Oh, wonderful. Governor, H2 Ohio is your signature policy change that's impacting a lot of the things we study in the college: agriculture, natural resources, conservation, and the environment. What are some of the key contributors to moving forward with successful implementation of the program?
Well, this program is really about clean water. When you get down to it, everyone needs clean water. It's something we take for granted. But a lot of people in the world can't take it for granted, don't take it for granted, don't have it. So having good, clean, pure water is so very, very important. And, one of the challenges that we faced in Ohio is the algae bloom on Lake Erie. At its worst, when we really saw its impact was a few years ago when Toledo didn't have drinking water. They had to bring bottled water in, a major city in our country. Because of the algae bloom in Lake Erie. So one of the things that I was committed to doing after I became governor, when I became governor, was to really take this on. So we've named it H2 Ohio. It's a lot of it is focused on dealing with the algae bloom, which comes to a great extent from our agriculture runoff in a very fertile area of our state, a very wonderful area of our state, and that is, Northwest Ohio. So this program is now really getting started. We have several thousand farmers who are involved in it now who have signed up. We have over 1 million acres that have been enrolled. And the whole idea is to, over time, significantly increase best farming practices, to help farmers kind of get over that hump when they make some of these changes, to pay them so that they can continue to farm, but to really make long-term changes. We didn't get in this problem overnight with the algae bloom. We're not going to get out of it overnight. But what we did is we did a research project. We looked at all the different things that were contributing to algae bloom. And then we looked to see where would the money be spent the best. What do you get the most bang for your buck? And we made a decision, and the legislature went along with it because they understood the importance of Lake Erie. Supplies water for millions of people, and it's just vitally important to our state, not only from the point of view of water for drinking, but also obviously for recreation, tourism, and all of those boating, all of those things that kind of go with that.
Yeah.
So this is a program that's just now is starting. We're starting to see this fall the farmers implementing these farming practices that we know over time will make a significant difference. But it's not just Lake Erie. If you live in Southern Ohio or other parts of the state, there's benefit as well. One of the things that we particularly worry about is kids whose water supply is contaminated with lead. We've got lead pipes in some of our cities, some of our bigger cities, older cities. And so now we're starting to spend some of this H2 Ohio money to replace those lead pipes so that kids can get good water as they grow up. We're also doing some work on supplying some assistance to small villages, small communities that don't have a good sewer system. And so again, this is a program that will benefit all Ohio. The focus has been, the spotlight has certainly been on Lake Erie, but over time, it's going to benefit all of Ohio.
Yeah. Well, I think that comprehensiveness is really important. Whenever you talk about a complex issue like water in our water system, just working on one part of it rarely solves the problem. So greatly appreciate that. And we weren't surprised to see how many of the farmers, a number of whom we work with in Extension, were responding and wanting to participate and be part of the solution for that as well. And we're also delighted to have been able to partner and provide some of the research and appreciate the value that you place on science in making your decisions. That's been great.
We appreciate Ohio State's work. Very, very helpful. Means a lot to us. And,
well, that's great to hear. As the land-grant university, we like hearing that and knowing that we're being of service to our state. So another area that I mentioned earlier that had come up and that we were responsive to had to do with the COVID-19 and how it impacted our food system, which we know has been in many ways. But I'm wondering if you have ideas about what could be done to help our citizens and our citizen leaders, and maybe even our young people like our 4-Hers and others, to understand the connected nature of our food system and the programs, state and federal, that impact it. It's a system as complex as our water. And so what are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's very important. And first of all, Extension, Ohio State's Extension service around the state is an integral part of every community, from 4-H to all kinds of advice. This has been a system that has worked for a long, long time. And so thank you for continuing that great leadership. 4-H advisors and the extension agent in each county, it matters. It matters a great deal. I think that, look, today, Fran and I live on a farm. Our kids were in 4-H. We're not really farmers. I don't get up on a tractor. I don't, do the farm work. But, most kids growing up today are not really connected to agriculture. And I think any way that we can connect them more to agriculture, even if it's just having a small garden. We have one, we have a son and his family, or they're organic farmers. Of course, they know what's going on, but we also have other children who are raising their children, our grandchildren, who don't live in directly connected to agriculture. So I think any time that you can show kids where food comes from. I know when one of the things that my wife Fran loves to do is to show kids where that food comes from.
I loved her grinding her own wheat to make the pizza dough at the state fair last year.
Well, she had fun doing that, and that's something that she started here at home. Kids would come over, grandkids would come over, and every year if we had wheat, she'd send me out, and I wasn't on the combine, but I'd go out there with a bucket and get some wheat, and I'd say, hey, this came from our farm anyway, and she'd grind it, and she mixes it in with some other flour, and but it shows kids, okay, that's where that comes from. And I think anytime that we can, show kids that connection, and that's one of the kind of disappointments. We've had a lot of disappointments this year, but not having the Ohio State Fair, where it's a real mix of kids from cities, kids from suburbs, and then kids who are in barns and who are, bringing their project. But it brings everybody together. And some of the best part of the Ohio State Fair is how it continues to be connected to agriculture. And as you said, one of the things Fran really enjoyed doing is showing kids, how to grind the wheat, where's flour come from, where's bread comes from, where pizza, she would make pizzas, and but all of those things I think are just fun. And what we found with our own children and our own grandchildren is most of them, like to cook, and they kind of follow they don't follow me, but they follow their grandmother's, what she does. But it's part of life, and it's connecting kids to maybe things that they don't, normally see.
Yeah. Well, I know we've missed having a lot of those opportunities too, but one of the ways our 4-H program responded was this year when we realized we weren't going to be able to do our camps or overnight camps in the same way, and how much we all love our camping and our campfires and everything, is our great 4-H educators across the state came up with 4-H Campus, which was virtual camping and camping in a box that would get sent out. And we had quite a lot of young people participating in STEM activities and learning more about their food and everything. So kind of in the same spirit as the first lady.
We're all kind of finding out, and we're seeing it with our teachers, very innovative. They're figuring out, what they can do under the stress of COVID. And so, that outreach that you're doing is important. I know the Department of Agriculture is working with COSI. They're delivering in these little packets. I saw one the other day, and it kind of introduces kids to clean water and into other things, and then the kids get a lunch. And so it's people are just being very innovative.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about food, but one of the things that we're seeing in Ohio is because of people being unemployed, people having challenges, our food banks are much more important. They've always been important, but they're playing an even bigger role. And I know of Ohio State's involvement in the food banks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With both our gardens out at Waterman Farms in Columbus, as well as throughout the state, and the great work of our master gardeners throughout the state. I was going to say our master gardeners have had a wonderful partnership with ODA and Director Polanda around the revisit of the Victory Gardens. And so really happy to continue to have those kinds of partnerships as well. I was thinking that COVID-19 also created an opportunity for many people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. I know I found myself spending a lot of time outside. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about initiatives or things that could improve the safety and well-being of citizens during these times that might involve the outdoors too.
Well, I think you really summarized it. Outdoors is better than indoors. I just did an interview with school superintendent, and I was talking about, one of the things that they did is they bought some picnic tables and they put them outside, and they're letting kids eat lunch out there. Yeah. The more kids can be out, the more any of us can be outside. Now, when it gets to be, December, we're probably not going to want to be outside too long. But if you look at the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Director Mary Mertz tells me that their number of people visiting Ohio state parks is dramatically up. We also, as you know, have some wonderful metro parks around the state, county parks, and people going to them has gone up rather dramatically. The other thing that's gone up is so many people are making gardens. There are a lot more people making gardens today than we've ever had in the past. And so when this virus is in the rearview mirror and we're done with it, and that can't come soon enough, I think that one of the positive things that's going to come from it is people have learned to make gardens that maybe hadn't made gardens before. People have discovered state parks that they didn't know existed. And I think that those things will continue. And, just being outside is just, so much safer than anything that you can do inside. So, and we're learning that more and more.
Well, when you were talking about the picnic tables, it reminded me that on our campus in Columbus, we had a lab that was studying hort and crop sciences a little too big to accommodate all the students. So we've pitched a tent and we have cut up stumps for them to sit on out there. And I actually think the students are kind of vying for that location and being outside. So I think a lot of people got creative about that. Several times in our conversation here, Governor, you and I have talked about children and young people. And I know that they're a cornerstone of your administration's focus. And obviously they're a big focus for us with the 4-H program, as well as with the education we provide for young people and how proud we are of our Buckeyes. But I'm wondering if there's any messages that you might want to share for our children and youth. We have a lot of FFA, 4-H, and other young people who are participating in our virtual farm science review. Any messages for them?
Well, we still have the COVID, and so, we have to continue to warn people. This virus is just as much out there as it's ever been. And I know there's a kind of perception that young people can't, some people say, well, young people don't get it very much, or young people can't spread it, or young people, don't get very sick. And part of that's true. Young people do get it. Young people do spread it. Generally, they don't get as sick. But we've seen, even with athletes at Ohio State, that, some of the measurements that have been done have shown some, enlarged, basically inflammation, the heart, that turned out not to be serious. But again, these are just things that people need to watch. And so you don't want to get it. It's not like the flu. It can have long-term implications for your health. If you're younger, you're probably going to get through it better than someone who is older. But what you really don't want to do is to spread that. And you don't want to take it home from say, going out with some friends, and you think everything's fine, and then you turn out you've got it. Maybe you don't even know you have it. You go visit your grandmother, and your 80-year-old grandmother gets sick. And that's the real concern that we have. I was talking to some of the health departments this week, talking to some of the college presidents. And, one of the concerns for college students is, again, they could get sick, but even if they don't get sick, even if it's mild, they can spread it. And that's the concern, that they spread it maybe to a custodian in one of the buildings at Ohio State or some other college. or that they spread it to someone in the cafeteria who may be diabetic or may have some other vulnerabilities. And so this really is something, when we're all in this together, we got to keep fighting this until it's over with. We've come 6 months, we've done well. We've had tragedy, but overall we've done pretty well, and that's because Ohioans are tough, they're resilient, and they're doing what they need to do. So my only message is, look, be careful. We want to go to school this year. We want you to be in school. We want you to be in college if that's your age. If you're younger, we want you to be in K through 12. We want you to be able to enjoy sports, participate in sports. But the virus is still here. And so we have to learn to live with this virus for a while. And once we get through it, then they'll be done with it. But that's not here yet. We got to keep going.
We do need to keep going. And, we say too at OSU that's together as Buckeyes. So we can really echo what you're saying there. As we wind down here, and, we've talked several times here about our kind of mutual values of working with our children and youth and agriculture and our concerns about the environment. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about how our university and our college can continue to strengthen the state of Ohio to impact those future generations of leaders in the food system, in agriculture, and in the environment.
Well, there's so many experts at Ohio State that can help me as a governor, can help the legislature, can help a school teacher. And so it's figuring out, how to kind of tap in and get that information. I'll just give you an example. The doctors at Ohio State, many doctors associated with Ohio State have been phenomenally important to us as we battle this virus. Made all the difference in the world because, of their expertise and their willingness to spend time with us. Ohio State is a great jewel for us. And I think our challenge as we go forward as a state is to continuing figure out how we can take the knowledge base that's at Ohio State and spread that out throughout the state. What you do through the cooperative extension is kind of the historic way of doing it. And that is something that is so very, very important, training young leaders, giving them leadership skills, as well as specific knowledge, not just in agriculture, but really about life. And you all do that very, very well. So I think we've got more opportunities out there to, take our universities and spread them out and, get more people involved with the knowledge base that is Ohio State and our other state universities as well.
Wonderful. Well, Governor, thank you so much for joining us today for our virtual farm science review and for sharing a little bit
different.
Your thoughts. And we're excited because we found some great opportunities this year. We've put cameras in parts of our equipment that people haven't ever seen before. So we've created some new opportunities. And then we're also really excited about the ways we're hoping to engage more of our K-12 audience this year with some of our different educational components since it's virtual. So all great opportunities. But I also want to thank you on behalf of our whole college and as an Ohioan for your leadership, for everything you've done to help guide us through the last 6 months. We know it just takes an incredible amount of decision making and perseverance and fortitude. And we're really appreciative of your leadership and your partnership with all of us at The Ohio State University. So thank you, sir, for joining us today and for your leadership.
Dean, thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks for what you do.
I want to thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you for helping us advance people, advance knowledge, advance industry, and advance science. Thank you for helping us fulfill our mission. We sustain life. Make sure to mark your calendars for next year's show, September 21st through 23rd, 2021, and we look forward to seeing you next year at the Molly Caron Agricultural Center in London. Finally, like President Johnson, I too look forward to a time when we are able to gather in person, in the same room, arm in arm, singing Carmen, Ohio. But for now, virtually will have to do.